Yeah, yeah, and it's connected via Dante. Yeah, yeah. So it has a Dante card on the back. And then it just connects via here. So you could have this on the stage, and then just have this in your front of house position. And then this instantly can have either connected from hard drive to it, or connected to your computer to have it. So you can do 32 by 32 recording on the hard drive.
Just straight to it?
Straight to it. Yep.
Independent channels?
Yep, independent. Yep. And it saves it in polyphonic format. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
What is one of these guys right here?
So this is $1,800. Yeah.
Mobile rad.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's really rad. It's really cool. Yeah, let me know if you guys are ever interested. Pretty slick. Yeah, I got here Monday. Oh, I saw that. All those like stuff. Oh. I gotta get going here.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today at the Mackie booth here at InfoComm 2016. I'd like to thank you all for spending some time. I'd like to thank the folks out on the interwebs as well, on Facebook. Thanks for joining in. Grab a demo station if you guys want, if you haven't already grabbed one. And I thank everyone for spending some time. So today, we're going to take you through the Axis digital mixing system. Okay, so Axis is designed to be a modular 36 by 28 mixing system for both production and install at an incredible value. Our goal is today is to leave today's demo with an understanding of how Axis delivers incredible functionality, and faster workflow, which is achieved through its immense visual feedback and unmatched user customization. Today's presentation is about 25 minutes long, which is mostly hands-on. This will allow you to get really in-depth with the hardware and kind of know exactly how we're able to achieve these functionalities for yourself. So also, your choice, you can either listen in over the PA speakers above us, or if you guys plug in your headphones, you'll be able to listen over the headphones. The knob is in the upper right for the consoles, and then on the mixer, it's here also on the right. So go ahead and make that adjust. So let's go ahead and get started. So in front of each of you is an Axis digital mixing system. It's kind of comprised of two major components. We have the DL32R rack mount digital mixer. We also have the DC16 control surface. Now these two are connected via Dante, so a single Ethernet cable runs between the two, and because they are Dante enabled, they're already compatible with hundreds of other Dante devices already on the market. So let's start with the DL32R, as it's really kind of the core of our system. So you'll see on the left, we have our 32 Onyx Plus digitally recallable mic pre's. On the right are 14 balanced XLR outs, a stereo AES out, dual stereo mono outs, and then we have a headphone out as well, stereo headphones. So Axis features flexible routing, so any input can be assigned to any channel, and any output mix can be assigned to any hardware output. So as mentioned, all of the mixing and processing happens inside the DL32R rack mount digital mixer. So of that, we've got EQ, compression, gate on every channel on the 36 inputs, plus we have a parametric and a graphic EQ, and alignment delay and limiter on the 28 output mixes. So these 28 outputs are comprised of our 14 aux sends, our 6 matrix outputs, 6 subgroups, and then the main LR. Additionally, there's 6 VCAs, 6 mute groups, and then we also have 3 stereo effects processors with dedicated sends and returns. This is a modular system. Axis provides numerous benefits over other entry-level digital mixers on the market. So of course, if you place it lets you place the I/O where you need it. So you can have the stage box on stage, and then you can be running your DC16 at a front of house mix position. Additionally, there's no need for an expensive analog snake. So no more long copper runs, no more worrying about signal degradation over distance, and no more years of service, worrying about the quality reduction over time. It's a single Ethernet cable, which gives you even more flexibility. Another unique benefit is for production companies is the flexibility to scale the system. So if you're doing a simple AV event where you only need 4 mics, you can just grab the DL32R and an iPad and you're ready to mix the show. If you're doing a more complicated system like your community theater is putting on a production of Cats or something, you might need the full flagship operation with a dedicated front of house and monitoring desk. So moving on to the DC-16, as you can see, we have a low profile, robust control surface, giving you plenty of space to work. Also, we have loads of visual feedback and incredible tactile control of these faders. So the surface is centered around 17 motorized faders. We have tons of encoders, LEDs, and buttons. But it's the incredible number of large, full color, backlit screens that you see across the unit that gives, and the iPads and the smart grids, that really gives it a distinct amount of visual visibility and visual feedback. While you only need 1 iPad to work the system, today what we're going to run is a full, like what we're considering a flagship operation, which will be 3 iPads, the DC-16, and the DL32R control surface. So let's go ahead and switch over to the camera, and we'll go over this in a little bit more detail. All right, guys, so we're going to start today's hands-on demo kind of right here in the center. So as you can see, we have 16 channel strips. We have a master strip. Each one has a 100mm Alps motorized touch-sensitive fader. At the bottom of each channel, we have a 6-segment LED for channel level metering. We have a 3-segment LED for channel gain reduction metering. So this lets us know what's going on with our compression and our EQ. At the bottom of each channel, we have solo controls. You can simply push the button. Mutes, as you would expect on an analog console, we have them here as well. And then we have select buttons, giving us the ability to get deeper into individual channels. But obviously your eyes are probably drawn to these many, many screens. So let's go ahead and start with these screens right above, and we'll kind of dig into these. So these act as per channel Scribble strips. So you'll notice they indicate channel color, channel icon, and the channel name. So instead of having one medium-sized screen like a lot of our competitors have, we put 26 screens across the entire surface plus the iPads. We wanted you to be able to label everything. There's nothing worse than a digital console with board tape on it. You should be able to label it digitally because it is a digital console. So we've got all of that synaptic feedback right there. I can see the channel name, I can see the icon, and it's all right where I need it, right when I need it. So how do I adjust channels? So we've seen where we can get our channels. How do we actually adjust? What are these encoders for? So I'll turn your attention to the upper left-hand corner. You'll see 2 rows of buttons. The top row of buttons controls a single parameter across all of my channels. So if I press pan, I have pan control of each one of my channels. I can do some wild panning. I don't know if I pan the drums quite that much in the real world, but we can do that today, right? Gain works the same way. So if you push the gain button, follow along, we have trim. And this allows us to trim each channel. If we were running a microphone preamp, we could digitally control the gain on that preamp as well, right from this position. High pass filter, if you all press high pass filter, we have high pass filter. And this allows us to adjust the frequency and where our high pass filter kicks in. Again, I can do that across all the channels in my mix. Sends work the same way. So you'll notice this is my aux1 send. This is Seneca's send. Again, I labeled it with Seneca, so I see her on stage. I know this is her monitor. And I can adjust those levels right here on the encoders. And if I need a page down, I can simply use the up and down arrows on the right side. And it lets me page down through all of my aux outputs. Very easy, very quick navigation. So now if I want to get into a deeper level of control, I select an individual channel. In this instance, I'm going to go ahead and select kick in 1, which is channel 1 on the far left. And I can push EQ, and you'll notice my center iPad, who's following my every move, is now moved over to the EQ, and the EQ controls spill across these wonderful 16 screens. So I can turn the EQ on and off by pressing the individual encoder. I can flip between a modern or a vintage EQ using this encoder. And as you can see, we can change the high pass filter, we can change the band 1 gain and frequency, band 2 gain, frequency, and Q. So again, I can make all these adjustments. Now, the one thing I want to note is that any time I want seamless integration, so at any time I can grab the iPad, I can go ahead and make adjustments, I can pinch, I can move, I can do all that just with my fingers. So I can use the encoders, I can use the iPad. Again, the flexibility is yours. We want you to have that choice. So if you go over to the Dynamics button, push Dynamics, and again, our compressor and our gate now show up on the center screen. I'm able to adjust those. I can adjust my gate type between vintage and modern. I can also adjust my range, attack, hold. Again, all of these parameters are all available right here on the encoders, but at any time, I'm more than able to just grab right on the screen and make adjustments there. So we want that flexibility to be there for you no matter what. Now, 2 options to control a channel is great, but why not 3, right? So at any time, regardless of what channel I have selected, which we have reinforced on our 17th encoder, so you'll notice there's a 17th screen along the top, and it's on the far right. This one will always show me which channel is selected. So in this case, this is my kick in, shows me the channel color and the icon. So I can quickly reference which channel is selected. Now, anytime you can grab across the top, we have a fat channel right across the top of the mixer. This allows us to turn off, on and off 48-volt fan of power. It allows us to adjust phase inversion. We can quickly get to EQ controls. You can toggle between the bands using the buttons just underneath the Q controls, the frequency and Q controls. Again, you can grab the screen at any time and make your adjustments as necessary. So again, we want that flexibility. There's 3 ways to control a channel, and that's for you to decide. What's the fastest for you? What works for your brain? Now, everything's labelable, everything's viewable. We're going to go ahead and press pan in the upper left-hand corner. We'll get back to a default kind of setting. Now, those are 3 ways you can navigate through the controls and get a little bit deeper into functionality. Now we're going to go into how we view. So we don't have predefined user banks. We have user bank A, user bank B. Everything is designed for you. So you create your own view groups, you create your own mixes, you create everything. So our channel view over on the left, you'll notice if we select view, it'll highlight in green. And if I select drum, this takes me to my drum mix. This is everything that I need for drums. Again, this is my brain, and you might have it a little different. But I've got my channel controls, then I've got my effects returns, then I've got my stereo subgroup, right, for my drums, and then I've got my drum VCA and my effects VCA. Again, that's all my parameters that I'm really going to be mixing on my drum group. You'll notice the keys work the same way. I've assigned my keys, and then I have my short or long verbs, and then I also have my VCAs for those channels. So again, we want that flexibility to be yours. We want you to have that flexibility to design these that works best for you. Mute groups work the same. So before we get to mute groups, let's go ahead and push all. That'll bring us back to all of our channels. We press mute. Now we have mute groups. Again, we want you to be able to quickly navigate through the system. Mute groups work similarly. If I press drum, all of my drums will now flash. The mute buttons will flash, and that lets me know that they are being muted. This is great. It's great visual feedback. Also, if I need to make adjustments, I can do that very quickly. If you hold the assign button in the lower left, press drum again, you'll notice that the select buttons are now flashing across the top. I can add by pressing the select on other channels. I've now added these channels to the subgroup. Now if I wanted to remove them, I simply press select again. They are now no longer part of the subgroup. Once I'm done assigning, I press assign, and I'm done. If I want the drums to be enabled again, I can press none, or I can press drum again. Either way, I've now unmuted my drums. Pressing view gets me back to my views for quick access. As you can see, this is all these parameters can be easily changed, even in a situation where you're in the middle of a live mix. You can make these adjustments quickly and easily, and again, attune them to your own personal workflow. Now over here on the right, we have our mix selector. So remember how I showed you we could run our auxes across the top of the screens and use the encoders to use the levels? Well, over here on the right, we have our mix selector. So what's better than using encoders? Faders, right? So if I choose Seneca's mix, which is A1 here, I can adjust her mix right on the faders, just like I'm doing an alternative mix. Over here on the right, the master is my final output to that aux set. It's great for quickly accessing and making changes to a lead source monitor, drum monitor, anything along the line. Now, this is reinforced at the bottom of the channel. You guys will notice, hopefully you'll notice here, if I have my main selected, it's reinforced in white across the bottom. If I choose Seneca, it's reinforced in fuchsia. Cedric's in aux 5, and that's reinforced in yellow. So I can quickly see what output mix I have going on. I can, again, visual feedback is the key and speed of workflow. So we'll go ahead and get back to our mains. Now, masters is another big section, so another big part of this whole parameter. So in our master section, if you press the masters button, you'll notice we have all of our output masters. Now, if I was running a monitor mix, I might just have my auxes. So again, everything is labeled and colored. We have Seneca's mix, Sam's mix, Seal's mix, lots of S's here. But each one has an icon and is labeled with a color. So I can quickly see that output, I know exactly where it is. Now, if I was instead running a front of house mix, I probably wouldn't want just my auxes. I'd probably want my LR. And you know what? I'm gonna multi-select by pressing the bottom button here. And I'm gonna include my VCAs and subgroups. The main reason for that, and that feels like to me what I'd want for my outputs for a front of house mix. I've got my main LR here on the left. I've got my drum buses, or all my buses, and then all my VCAs. And if I press master again, it'll take me to my main LR. And if I were to press master again, masters will remember exactly where it was, so I don't have to continuously make that adjustment. I'll just go ahead and bounce back and forth. So that's pretty much all the screens, but there's one screen left. So let's go ahead and talk about here in the upper right. This is our show selector screen. At any time, you can look at the show, you can see it labeled by name right on the unit, and you can recall and store those shows right here using these page up, page down buttons and a recall encoder. Now, the great benefit of this is we no longer have scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. This is all labelable. So I have start, break, finale. I could say running through the woods. I could say, you know, song titles. I could choose scenes if it was a theater production. Again, this is the flexibility, and we want it all to be perfectly customized and designed for you. Now, lastly, we have some analog controls in the upper right, which you are a little bit familiar with the phones knob already. We also have our monitor control and talkback level knob. So that's pretty much the entire control surface. Now, that's only about half the story. As you can see, nestled in our smart bridge, we have 3 iPads looking at us, right? So why do we have 3 iPads? Again, more visual feedback. The center iPad, as you saw, is designed to follow exactly what I'm doing. So when I select a channel, so if we go from kick in, for example, to my bass mic, it follows. So it jumps over and it lets me to go right to adjusting that channel that I've selected. I can go ahead and make adjustments right on the screen. I can use the fat channel again to make adjustments as well. So I can easily, quickly access that information, and it gives me a lot more visual feedback. Now, on the left, I have this set to follow. This is my first history. So this guy's telling me exactly what I'm doing. This, like a web browser's history, is telling me what I just did. This is great in situations where, for example, I'm mixing my bass mic. Now I need to go back to the kick. You'll notice my bass mic will flip over to the left side, and my kick will flip back over to the right. Let's watch that happen right now. So, what this allows me to do is it allows me to mix, unlike other consoles on the market, it allows me to mix 2 channels at once. I can adjust the EQ on my bass mic, which might be best friends with my kick mic as well, right? So I can make these adjustments in real time at the same time, which is an amazing, amazing feature and flexibility. Now over here on the right, I have this one set in a fixed view. So what that's doing is that's giving me feedback. It's just staying on the screen. It's giving me an overview of everything that's going on in my mix. Now, instead in fixed view, I can have that fixed on the lead vocal mic. If I have multiple users using the same mic, and let's say I've got male and female users, and I wanted different EQs for each one, I could easily have that there so I can quickly access it. Or for example, I don't know if you've done live sound, but if the lead singer is a little bit of a diva and constantly asking you to mix the monitor a little differently, you could just leave the monitor mix right there so you could quickly access it. Because you know after every song there's going to be a change. So again, we want that flexibility. We want you to be able to do whatever you want. I could set this up in a third history mode as well. You have that flexibility, so I can have my first history, second history. Now, each one of these can change. I can have my first, second, and third. We want that flexibility to be yours. Again, with the flagship system, you can do this with Axis. Now, great feature. Now, it is a smart bridge, right? And we haven't really gotten to anything super smart yet, in my opinion. But check this out. So I'll be Dave. Now, I'm going to switch from Matt to Dave. Watch the character. Okay, here we go. So now I'm Dave, I'm your monitor engineer, and I'm like, hey man, okay, Seneca's complaining all the time about her mix, you know, because she's a diva. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that for you. So I'm gonna run up to the stage. I can go ahead and jump into Seneca's mix. I can again, I have full control using the iPad. So I'm in A1, Seneca's mix. Again, it's labeled, and I'm gonna push up her drums because for some reason Seneca wants a lot of drums. I don't know, she's crazy. You know, I'm hearing some ring in her monitor, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my EQ. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the RTA so I can kind of see what's going on here. We're drawing it like, yeah, that's how we do it in Seattle. Don't question it. That looks good to me. And so I run up and I tell you, hey guys, I finished. You know, she's good. She's happy. She's fine. And when I drop the iPad back into the mix, watch. This is really cool. You know, drop it right back in the mix. Your workflow is uninterrupted. It drops right back in, it remembers where it was, and it's going to continuously give you that, so you notice that bass mic is right there, right? So you can keep working, and it'll remember where it is and what position, because we have sensors in the bottom of the smart bridge. So that's really cool. So this is the Access Digital Mixing System. Again, you have the wireless flexibility of the iPads, you have the massive space of the control surface, and you have the flexibility of digital I/O. No long copper runs, and again, all of this is for your flexibility and your mixing potentials, right? So now we're going to go over the back panel, which you guys can't really see super well, so we're going to toss it up on the screen. So here's all our inputs and outputs on the back. So moving from left to right on the rear panel, we have a locking power connector. We have a 4-pin little light connector. Next, you'll see 3 USB ports for iPad charging, one of which also does control, so you don't need a router for that iPad. Also, there's 2 Dante ports on locking EtherCon. It's also important to note that because it's a modular design, you can have your Wi-Fi protocol either connected to the hardware, the mixing hardware, or the control surface. So we want that flexibility depending on your wireless needs. The remaining connectors you guys are going to see over here are going to be the stereo input, our assignable foot switch. We also have dual monitor out, and then our talkback mic as well. So because it's all Dante, we have our voice of God right here on the control surface. We have our headphones. We can even set up a set of near fields if we are in a position where we can actually get away with it. So as you just saw, Surface Wireless Mixing gives you incredible workflow efficiency thanks to the Master Fader application. It gives you complete wireless control over the entire system using up to 20 iPads and iPods, iPhones. So that gives you an amazing amount of visual feedback and a lot of flexibility. If you have a control app, you want it to be intuitive, powerful, and Master Fader delivers, giving you complete control over every aspect of the mix. Unlike a lot of the competitors that give you a subset of features, we give you control over everything using the iPad. One of the many features is our incredible, powerful access limits. This allows you to lock a user out of every application. So if you're training an assistant engineer and you kind of want to let him get out on his own and mix the monitors, but you don't want him accidentally messing up your front of house mix, you can lock him out of everything but front of house. Or alternatively, if you're setting something up for perhaps a bunch of house of worship volunteers, like a youth group, where they're not really educated in audio, but they just need a few mics for their, after school events or something, you can set that up for them where they only have a few faders, access, and then the master out. So again, we want that flexibility, and we want that to be there for you to set up on the individual iPads. So Master Fader also offers complete offline show integration. It also allows you to share everything. So you can share channel presets, you can share EQ, compression presets, you can share entire shows easily over Dropbox, email, messaging, which is kind of incredible. So the great part is if you're in an install situation, you install something in a house of worship, you get that phone call at 7:30 a.m. Hey, it's not working. Oh no, what am I gonna do? Well, send me your show via email. So we're still in our night clothes and I'm drinking our coffee. We assign it to our DL32R. We try the show, we find the problem, we fix it, we save it, we email it back to them. We can continue drinking coffee in our night clothes, and we don't have to drive down to the house of worship at 8 in the morning. Great, right? So again, that flexibility, that feature set is all included in the Master Fader application. So Master Fader is not only amazingly powerful, it is also free on the App Store. You can download it for free today. It has an offline demo mode, so you can start working with it today without even purchasing any of our mixing hardware. All right, so the final, sorry guys. All right, the final function of Access we'd like to talk about is we offer recording in 4 ways. I know, only 4, right? We've got 32 channel direct-to-disc recording. So that's just to any standard FAT32 hard drive. This is great for virtual sound check, This is great for, like this demo, all of our audio is being played back from the USB hard drive, which is awesome. Now, also, we have a 32 by 32 over USB to your Mac or PC and your favorite DAW of choice. So that's a great option for if you want to use this for production after you get done recording the show. We also have 32 by 32 over Dante. This is great for redundant recordings or an AV room that's broadcasting audio over the internet. And finally, we have a 2x2 recording right to the center iPad, our control iPad. This allows us to do a quick mix right to the iPad, or alternatively play back music right from our iTunes library on the center iPad. So it's very, very quick, easy, flexible, and we've got 4 ways to get that audio recorded. Oop. All right. If I can quit dropping things. Okay, and that's the Axis digital mixing system, guys. So the DL32R and Dante card are available already. You can go down and buy those today. The DC16 is shipping in just a few short months. Also, there's 2 different Axis packages that we offer. We have our install package, which is going to be a DL32R, a Dante card, and the DC16 control surface. And then we have our Axis touring package, and that's going to include all of those, plus a sturdy road case and a rugged 80-meter Cat 5e reel. So the one other thing I want to note is our first month of production is already sold, so definitely talk to your rep now and order yours today if you're interested. So we're also conducting a US tour for education on the product. We're going to have 2 classes. One is just on the mixing hardware, so just the DL32R and the iPad, and then we'll have a full Axis system also as well. That's full for 1 full credit renewal for CTS, CTSD, and CTSI holders. So definitely, if you want to talk to us about that as well, we have some people walking around the booth that would be glad to talk to you about that. So the Axis digital mixing system is designed with one thing in mind, right? Faster workflow, which is achieved through immense visual feedback and incredible user customization. We hope that after today's demo, you guys agree that Axis offers a comprehensive feature set that you expect and a usability unlike any other mixer on the market. So we have several product specialists in the booth, so feel free to ask us any questions. I'll be hopping down here in a minute. And if you came late to our demo or you'd like to see the full thing, we're going to do it again in just about 30 minutes. So please stop back by. And I'd just like to thank you all for your time, and I'd like to thank all of you online as well for joining us. So thanks guys.